Oh, I'm doing good. How are
Good.
you?
Good. I was a little busy with my mom today, so
Oh,
but
yeah.
it was good. I just came back home, and of course, when I do these things, I can never leave them alone. I have to keep
Yeah.
adding stuff until the last minute. Wait a minute, this would be nice to add. Wait a minute. This is very cool information. Let me add this. Let me add this piece of it. I've always been like that when I write.
We are
I
live
always,
now.
what?
We are live now.
Right. Okay. So you know what I mean? I just keep adding and adding and adding to things.
Mhm.
I've always been like that. So try to make it more interesting. Hi, everyone.
Yeah.
I can't help it. That's just the way I am. I've always been like that. I'm just texting. Okay. All right, I'm going to get a chair. Oh, that looks nice. Thank you. All right. Just get myself on YouTube at the same time.
Hi. Hello, everybody who's here. I'm getting in my chat now.
And I'm going to go put myself on YouTube. Let's see all my lovelies. Hello, my lovelies.
Hi,
Hey,
Danny.
that's
Hi,
not bad.
Kathy.
Last time I was a little bit more behind the eight ball.
Hey, Clarissa. Hey,
Gary.
Colorado lover. I know
My
you
tech
are.
guy got me set up real nice this time.
You need one of
Mindy
them on your
Hall.
face.
What?
Dandy
You need one of
B.
the cameras on- This one.
Um,
Is this on your face?
I guess not. Just flip it then, like this.
Must be this one.
This one? Okay.
No. Gotta figure out which one is camera on your face. It's not
Like that?
it's getting over your head. There's that little thing with contact from last week. Big boy.
Oh yeah. Hang on a second. Where'd I put that? I think inside. Is that what you mean, honey? Like just do it like
Yeah,
that?
because it's the pictures.
Oh, you mean like this?
Yeah,
Do
yes,
it like that?
yes,
Oh,
yes.
gotcha. All right. So how about we do it like that?
You need that. You probably still need a little more. Or
What if I flip it the other way? I think that's good.
no, put it back up there. And where's that? You don't know where that whole of stuff is?
No. It's online. Hey, how about this? Watch this. How about if I did it like that? This something good.
Right.
This something good. All right.
You can barely see you.
Now you can barely see me, really?
You're little. You're little bitty. I'm trying to
that's
fix
weird.
it.
Hmm?
Why don't you put the chat on this and then the camera on your phone
Do that?
so that you can easier to read and
All right, so just do, so what do I do? All right, so
We're
put the
working
chat
out
on.
the technical issues.
So how do I do that now? So I would have to,
Hi, Evie.
You want
Hey,
this on
Scout.
YouTube?
so take this off.
Hey, sour milk and cookies.
So leave on this then. Leave
Pause.
on
Leave on
this.
both.
Leave on both, okay.
Okay, and this one,
So go on,
that one you want to go on Zoom. This
so
one you
this I
want
want
to
to
go
go
on
on
YouTube.
Zoom, okay.
How do you get to the? Could you just go on her channel?
No, you go to my messages and the Zoom link is there.
No, I don't want Zoom. I want YouTube.
Oh, so go on to YouTube and
Yeah,
then you
and
go to
then
her
what?
channel.
Then what? Okay.
I made that smaller. Let me see if I can make you bigger.
All right, so now I'm going on to the Zoom link, correct?
Yeah.
Because we're flipping it around, right? Okay. God, this is nuts. All right, hold
Yeah.
on. All right.
You gotta turn the audio off.
Which one do I leave the audio off of? This one? This one, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Think so.
It's so hard to keep it straight in your head. I don't know, is it me? Oh, thank you for the mouse.
Did you hear the audio from
I know,
3 minutes ago?
I know. Oh, so I don't really need this, because I have this.
You should be good to go, Lisa.
Now the Patty has to let me in again.
Oh, here we go.
All right.
So
Now I gotta flip this around so it's not looking at the air fryer. Oh, see, I'm getting a lot of feedback now.
I've got you in here 4 times.
Hold on a
Which one
second.
should I remove? Should I remove this one that says Lisa's iPhone? Oh, there you are.
Why is this doing some weird thing?
Hi, Scout and Choir. Mary Beth, Wendy.
Why is it doing that?
I don't know.
I've got your
Why is it looking
laptop.
at my feet?
I've got Lisa D, and I've got Lisa's iPhone 10.
Which one is it?
Where's the thing to shut the sound off?
You can't.
You can.
No, you can't. You never really can shut the. You can never really shut the sound off completely.
You can mute it when you're not using, and then turn the volume as low as you can go. That's about all you can do.
Right. Now I muted this.
Now you sound okay.
This one's completely muted. But that is showing my feet.
What is?
That is. Look, it's showing my
Put the
feet.
chat back. This should not have the camera. That's the camera.
I know, so shut that off. Look, watch video up at the top.
Oh, wow. Didn't we?
There, that one's gone now. You're muted, Lisa.
I know,
Put the chat back.
I know.
Hi,
Why do I
Mary
feel like-
Tackett,
Why do
Becky
I feel
Hughes.
like an idiot when I do this? Why? Why am I feeling
You're trying to
like?
run the thing at 3 different
I know,
devices at
I
one
know.
time.
All right, are we all
Hi,
right?
Carol Clark.
Where's your face?
I don't know. I don't know where my face is.
Let me find your face here. Well, where did you go?
I don't know, but I just popped up on my opposite device. I don't know. I popped up on my iPhone. Why am I popping up on my iPad? What's wrong with my head? I don't know, Nana Patty.
Where did I go? Hold on.
I don't know. Watch that. See,
There you
why
are.
am I coming up? Oh,
There
wait,
you
there
are.
I am. But why am I coming up over
I
there?
don't know where.
I don't know why I'm in the window.
It doesn't matter.
Well, I guess it doesn't matter. But where's Nana Patty? Because we want to look at each other.
Oh,
Like
I'm
we're
here
supposed to be able to- but I can't
I'm
see
here.
you though.
because I turned my video off.
But like when we talk to each other, I like to see each other.
Yeah, I know. Let's see.
Sorry.
It's showing you on YouTube, which is good enough.
All right. Well, at any point when you figure it out, could you come visit me?
Can you
So I can
see
see-
how little? Look, come on, focus. See how little you are up there?
Sorry. Hi,
I can't
everyone.
fix that.
All right. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right.
I love you guys. Welcome in, everybody.
Hello.
Thanks for being so patient with us. Well, me. Thank you for being patient with me. Nana Patty. She's fine. Okay. Hi, everyone.
I
This
can
was
make
ve-
faces at you.
What?
I can make faces at you because they
Yeah, but
can't see me.
you could. You could do whatever you want and I wouldn't
I
know it.
can. I love it. Mm-hmm.
I trust you.
Okay.
I trust you implicitly.
I trust you too, implicitly.
Everybody in the chat. Thanks for coming. I do have a handout, of course, I always do, and we can put it up when, I guess when I'm done. And I also have the references from last week because I didn't post
You
those.
want me to email it to her now?
Sure. Well, you're eating. I can do it now.
No rush.
Gary, I just have to tell you something. Is that the copy that I sent you before? So I wanted to send it different.
That's on your computer that you can send me?
Yeah. I'll wait. Okay. All right. Okay. We'll wait a few minutes on that. Okay. He's eating, just let him eat. If any-
Okay. I'm going to grab a blanket. I'm cold.
What? What did you say?
If it's different,
A blanket.
you send it from your laptop to me again.
Well, do you want me to do that right
No,
now?
no, I don't.
Okay. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry.
Okay. Does anybody care if they don't have it right this second? Do you think anybody cares?
No,
Okay.
because I have to put it on my community page anyway, and I'm not able
You're
to
not-
go do that right at this second.
You know what happened? I'll tell you what happened. Gary, I emailed it to Gary's computer, right?
Uh-huh.
At the last second, I forgot to add something to the reference page because that's how I am, okay? Because I was like, oh, I didn't add that one little reference. So I sneaked it on right after I emailed it to him. And I'm so ridiculous that if I send you the copy, I wanted to have that one little reference in there, okay?
That's fine.
Okay, so I'd rather have it perfect the way it should be.
Yeah.
Because why not, okay?
Right.
So this was kind of an interesting topic for me because I never, researched this before. So it's been very interesting. And when I first started researching the topic of parasocial relationships, I didn't know anything about it at all. Never heard of it. Never even heard the term. So I dove right into the topic and I researched it for about a week, and it's been really fun. And I found out that the term parasocial relationships was first coined in 1956. People started talking about it. Hi, everyone in the chat, by the way. I didn't say hello. Thanks for coming, everyone. I really appreciate that you took time to come and see me. I really appreciate it.
Yes, we do. Thanks for coming, guys.
You
This is
appreciate-
Lisa D. She's a behavioral analyst.
Yes.
And she's going to be talking to you today about parasocial and narcissistic relationships.
Yes, the title is on the paper is Parasocial Relationships and the Long Game of the Narcissist. I thought it would be good to do both those topics together. And I think it'll become clear as I go along, because it really kind of talks about relationships that people have that are really just one-sided. They're not reciprocal. It's when people relate to people that are on sort of a multimedia platform, like they talk about it like even in 1956, like relationships with people, characters in a book, or through radio, through television, and even now more recently, of course, through the internet or through YouTube or even Zoom, that people relate to each other that through a platform where you could relate to people that you never meet in person. And really that's what really parasocial relationships really are. And the research talks about parasocial interaction and parasocial relationships, but by and large, it really is not really a relationship by definition, because they think of it as really one-sided. Now that's kind of open to debate, really, right? Because when you're on YouTube, and you're or like say you're on like a Zoom sort of a platform, there is sort of like a reciprocal relationship, but you're just not in the same room with the person, right? but it really is still not like being with the person, and having interaction that's natural. So you see where they're getting at with that, where they say it's sort of not really the same thing as a natural interaction, but we'll talk a little bit more about that. But what was interesting when I first started researching this is that the term was first used by two researchers, Horton and Wall, in 1956. And I tracked down the paper and everything. And the paper was really interesting because it was almost like they were seeing the future. And in terms of the importance of the topic and the description of it. And I used quotes from the paper because they really was so interesting about how they described the relationship. And they said in their paper, these relationships give the illusion of a face-to-face relationship with the performer. The conditions of response to the performer are analogous to those in a primary group. The first remote and illustrious men are met as if they are in the circle of one's peers. The same is true of a character in a story who comes to life in these media in an especially vivid and arresting way. And I thought that was like, I'm not even going to change that because it's just such an interesting quote and just says it all really. How people can be really engaged with people this way. And it's a very emotional experience. And you really can develop very strong relationships and bonds with people, even through these media, especially now with the way we relate to each other on YouTube and with Zoom now in these platforms that are much different than, getting to know a character in a book or through television or things like that, where, that person isn't interacting with you at all. You know what I'm saying? So, what they're referring to is relationships with characters in a book, radio personalities, which is really what they were talking about in these original studies, right? Television personalities, and then romantic figures, TV stars, musical, like musicians, right? Sports figures, soap opera stars. I mean, soap opera stars, people like, just think about it. In the old days of soaps, right? You could watch 1 or 2 episodes and people used to say, oh my gosh, I can't stop watching it. I'm so attached to soap opera stars. I mean, I'm named after a soap opera star. My mother names me after Lisa, the horrible character in As the World Turns. And now she swore, and she still does, that she didn't name me after the person because the person was a horrible person, but she liked the name. I hope she was telling me the truth. But you know what I mean? People became engaged and very close to loving or hating these characters in these stories. And even politicians, right? Or reality TV shows, people get involved with these characters. How about social media influencers? Like they'll say to you like, oh, I love this product. Or Oprah had her book club and people read the books that she liked, things of that nature, right? People do care about what celebrities think, what they like, what they don't like. And even just internet friends, right? And what about people that meet and get married on the internet? Things of that nature. Some people will talk with each other for months or even a year or so before they even meet. And they feel like they really, really know the person, And of course, YouTube creators, right? That we know all about that, right? So, there's a lot to be said for that. There's an authenticity to these relationships, and we really feel it when we're engaged with them. And we all know what that feels like, right? I mean, and it could lead you down a really great path with people, and then it can lead you down a path that's not so healthy. And I'll talk a little bit more about some of the reasons why that could happen, but nevertheless, these platforms can have a real influence on on the decisions that we make and the feelings that we have. There's no question about that. And there's sort of an element of like, you get a little starstruck, right? With certain people. And some people are worthy and some people are not, right? Some people and some people are well-grounded in those positions. And like, it doesn't go to their head and they stay very well-grounded and their motives are pure. And then other people, really, they're not. And then I guess the difference is sometimes you can tell and sometimes you can't, right?
Right.
So anyway, And how do you tell the difference, right? How can you tell the difference? You can't always tell the difference.
Mm-hmm.
With parasocial relationships, there is an illusion of intimacy based mostly on idealization, right? And sometimes there is hero worship. It is by definition one-sided, but more recently with the addition of YouTube and Zoom, it has evolved into a more interactive platform, right? So it can be more personally engaging. Excuse me, even though a parasocial relationship is defined as such, because technically or so more so in the past, right? It was not reciprocal and therefore not a real relationship. They would say that in the literature. It has become recognized as being a highly influential relationship. Parasocial relationships are experienced by thousands of real and fictional characters across multiple mediums. I mean, I'm going to tell you a quick story, okay? And Gary knows this is a fact. We were watching, what was this? Oh, Downton Abbey. Remember that? Downton Abbey. Now we started watching it. Was that it? Okay. So we're watching it. And you guys know, a lot of you guys know me. I'm a ridiculously overly sensitive person, okay, when it comes to these things. You know me too, Nana Patty. I can't even watch a scary movie. It's just not even like, it's just even slightly scary, okay? And I'm very sensible. If things stay with me, it's ridiculous, okay? I have to admit that. So we're watching the story. It's the beginning of the story. He's getting into it too. The two of us are getting into it, all right? And we developed this real affection for Matthew. Now, I don't know if anybody remembers this. You loved it too, Vicky? All right. We loved Matthew in the beginning of the story, right? Oh, see, now he's going to deny it.
Show, but I'm not.
I know, but he's going to deny it. But he loved Matthew too. We just like the character. And definitely he's telling the truth. He was not nearly as like invested in Matthew as I was. Did you ever watch it, Nana Patty?
I watched some of it, but not that much.
You remember Matthew?
No.
All right. So he was, I forget who he was married to, but what?
Was he not there from the beginning?
He was there from the beginning, I think. I don't know if you guys remember Matthew, but anyway, he was the nicest guy. He brought everyone together. He was just wonderful. He just, I loved Matthew, okay? He was just my kind of guy, okay? He was like the peacemaker. And then you know what happened? Okay, you guys are ready? I'm going to get emotional about it even now. He got killed in a car accident.
For real?
He did.
For real?
He was
real?
driving. What?
In the show or for real?
Oh, in the show, not in real life. Okay.
Oh.
Okay, you were broken too, Jackie? See, Jackie Burns was broken when he finally married Lady Mary. That was him. He was driving, do you remember Jackie Burns? He was driving in a car. It was like a convertible, I think, like an old fashioned like Model T or something. And he was so happy. Something happened right before it. And he was extra, I think Mary was going to have a baby or something. He was extra happy. He's driving down this beautiful road on a sunny day. He gets in a car accident. And oh my gosh, he dies. He dies. Well, I was devastated. You know, I never finished watching the series. I stopped. I could not watch the rest of the series. I stopped. And I told Gary, I said, I can't watch it. Okay. It aired on Christmas in the UK and everybody was pissed that he got killed. In real life, he said he didn't want to get stuck playing one character. Are you kidding, Ivy Lynn? Is that what happened? I didn't even know that. Devastated. Absolutely. He was driving in a sports car. Oh, it was right after the baby was born. That's right. I just couldn't watch the rest of it.
He had a baby?
I couldn't stay. They had a baby. Mary had the baby. And I never watched the show again. And now this is show, I think it's still on the series. I think it is. And now that it's a fictional character. Okay. This is how I got affected by a fictional character. And I said, I can't watch the rest of it. Isn't that ridiculous? Now listen, I'm a little extreme. that, but I'm telling you, it just was like, I can't do this. I can't. How could they do that? It was just too much for me. And now that, I guess that was a parasocial relationship, right? Because he was a person in a story that wasn't real. And I got so involved in the story that I just never went back. Oh no. Maybe I should have said a spoiler alert. I'm sorry, Copper.
It's series like 15 years old.
Yeah, it's an old series, so it should be fine.
Oh, I hope so. I maybe I should have said a spoiler. But isn't that funny? That's a good
Yeah.
example. I got so devastated, okay? So it was just, yeah, it was awful. So I had to share that with you guys, all right? I get emotional just thinking about it now. It was terrible. The persona, okay? These researchers that did their first, real study. I know, knitting artisan, but it hit me hard. It did. It really did. They described the persona as an element that provides the intimacy with people that is extremely influential and satisfying on a large scale. I'm going to read their quote because I liked it. Sorry, I just liked it. Sometimes I just don't want to, if I'm doing like a paper on something, I like the quote. I can't change it. I just like it. The persona offers a continuing relationship. His appearance, they're talking about the persona as a person. His appearance is a regular event to be counted on and planned for and integrated into the routines of daily life. Now, isn't that true that you could relate to that? Like, even if you're watching somebody on YouTube, you sort of live your life around it. Like, you'll go on YouTube and you'll check to see if the person posted something, right?
Yep.
You're doing something and you're like, oh, I wonder if they put something up. I want to see it, right? So that's why I put this quote up, because they're referring to this. They wrote this in 1956, but it applies even now, right? And it says, his devotees live with him and share the small episodes of his public life, and to some extent, even his private life away from the show, right?
Yeah.
Indeed, their continued association with him acquires a history, and the accumulation of shared past experiences gives additional meaning to the present performance. I mean, these researchers, it's like they saw the future, right? Because this is written in 1956, but it all pulls together both what we experience now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bond, right. This bond is symbolized by illusions that lack meaning for the casual observer. How many times have you said, I really like this person, this YouTube person, whatever, and somebody looks at you like you have two heads?
Yeah.
And you say, but we really like each other.
Uh-huh.
Like, we do this together, we do that together. And the person just looks at you like, what are you talking about? And you're like, but, I enjoy being with this person, but the person who's not involved doesn't understand that, right? The bond is symbolized by illusion, lack the meaning for the casual observer. In time, the devotee, the fan, comes to believe that he knows, a spelling error here, I don't like that he knows the persona more intimately and profoundly than others do, and that he understands his character and appreciates his values and motives. Such an accumulation of knowledge and intensification of loyalty, however, appears to be a kind of growth without the one-sided nature of the connection precludes a progressive and mutual reformulation of its values and aims. So I felt that was just such a, the quote really, really says everything and applies to how we relate to each other even now, right? YouTube, with people that we really like on YouTube. We feel like we really know them. Let's be honest. We really do, right?
Right. I feel like I really know you.
I do.
Yeah.
Now listen, we person, we spend time with each other in person, so that helps.
Yeah.
That does. But even before we met in person, I really knew you.
I did too.
Really? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Because even when we met, I feel like my assessment of you as a person was completely accurate.
Yeah, me too.
There wasn't anything about you that I felt like, oh, really? That's how Nana Patty really is? Like, there was nothing like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So, I would say that sometimes you do hit it right with people. You really do. And it's the same way, like that you'll meet somebody that met online and they stayed together forever.
Mm-hmm.
You know what
I
I'm
like what
saying? I mean,
I like what Nancy Drew says. She says this is why some people over-identify and get angry at negative characters and don't like the actor anymore for that reason, because they over-identify with the character.
yes,
So if they're playing a bad person in a movie, you're like, well, I'm done. I don't like that guy anymore.
yes, that
Mhm.
definitely happens. We cannot help it. We identify with people. We over-identify with people. We are only human,
Mhm.
And we, as human beings, we naturally relate to people when we're looking at them, whether we're looking at them on a screen or we're looking at them in person. We're just naturally human. It's just the way we're made,
Right.
and sometimes you get a few and sometimes you lose a few, basically, you know.
Mhm.
Evie said, it's amazing how we get invested in TV characters and film characters. I mean, it's so true. I mean, it can be a very emotional topic, like you get on the topic of people that you like in your family, or and Jackie Burns, even look at Jackie Burns. I love my YouTube friends. Absolutely. But you also learn sometimes that some of the people that you thought were your friends really aren't your friends too.
Mhm.
That happens. I mean, let's just be honest. It does, very, very true. I never thought I'd make friends with anybody on YouTube.
I know.
I never expected that.
Me either.
It's very interesting though, right? That's why I really like the topic. I'm really glad that people suggested it, and I'm glad that we can kind of really good that we're talking about it. Thanks, Nancy Drew. Thank you, honey. It's a very, very good topic. Very good topic. There was an interesting example that they used in the study that it was called this radio program called The Lonesome Gal. And there was a seductive woman on that was the star of this show. And she would refer to her audience as her lovers. Oh, I spelled her. Oh, I got her lovers, who would ask them to lay down with her on her couch. And as a result, thousands of men sent out letters proposing marriage to her character. In 1996. A funny example of, the extent of how people could feel about a fictional character, right? Very interesting,
Yeah.
right?
That's funny.
I really, really interesting. So I had to use that as an example. I thought you guys would get a kick out of that. So hold on, I gotta open this up again. Okay, I lost the chat for a second. So isn't that funny? Okay.
Yeah.
What do we the history of parasocial relationship research, there's this man named David Giles, Giles, I don't know how to say it, but he had a chapter in a book. And he also talked about the original work by Horton and Wall, Wohl. And he said that there was something that people talked about called the fireside technique of radio broadcasting, where they would make it seem like a person was listening to a performer, and that they would at the time there was an awareness that it would be a good thing to make it seem like everyone was sitting around the fire chatting, and that you could bring in some sort of that people would be drawn in by the illusion of intimacy with the broadcaster. And they wanted people to feel that they were sitting around listening to an old friend, and that would be something that would make people want to be more likely to listen to the radio program. So what was starting to happen was, while the original researchers were talking about parasocial relationships and what they really meant, and why people would engage with people that they didn't really have relationships with in real life, they started to move research toward like marketing, like what's going to make people want to be like more of a listener to programs, and and be more consumers of news and things like that. So it kind of went in that direction, you know what I mean? And they started focusing in. So they started developing measurement scales that would measure these, parasocial engagements and relationships and in relation to things like that, and how to get people to watch longer and things like that. So in the 70s, they developed the parasocial relationship scale, and it focused more on like viewership and things like that. And they were examining things like in the 80s at Kent State University, they had research on the interaction of people with soap opera personalities, comedians, TV shopping hosts, TV stars. But they were really just measuring it for those purposes, but not really understanding the concept anymore. It was moving away from that. And it's kind of understandable, because it was more of a focus on like, viewership and things like that, which is what TV producers and such, that's what they're really interested in, right? It's not like a sociology project anymore.
Right.
It's more of a project in productivity and viewership and things like that.
But Fiddle D says something that's interesting.
Let's hear it.
It reminds me of the movie We Live, where someone presents to be one person, but when you really see the truth, it's a totally different person you see.
Ooh, where is that?
It's called We Live. Fiddle Dee Dee wrote that.
Wow, We Live, where someone presents to be one person, but when you really see the truth, it's a totally different person. Wow, I got to check that out. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is true with all these stars that we idolize, or YouTube personalities that we identify with. And whenever we find out what they're really like, a lot of times it's a letdown.
It's true. And it's very true, because you have that person, a concept of that person in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And then you do tend to idolize, right?
Right.
Put them on a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they don't meet up to that expectation, it's very disappointing, just like it would be for anyone.
Right.
I've heard people say that in person, like a celebrity, and they were like really disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard saying that. Or even like say, you go to a show. Like I went to see Regis and Kathy Lee years ago. My kids were babies, right? So much fun.
Mm-hmm.
And Regis was really friendly. He invited everyone up to the stage, and Kathy Lee just like got up and walked off and didn't talk to anyone. Yeah. And like we were so disappointed, because we thought she was just a different type of person based on how she acted on the show. But maybe she just didn't feel like, I don't know, maybe she just was tired that day, or you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or I went to see the Rachel Ray show.
Mm-hmm.
And during the break, she was like, during the show, she was like peppy and happy. And then during the break, she just walked off. And then when the break came back out, and she was, animated and everything, but never engaged with the audience. It was very just disappointing, because you expect her to have the same persona when she had her audience there with her, and she had the opportunity to talk to everyone. Now, Regis was the same as he was on camera. He invited everyone, pictures with everyone. His persona was the same. So I guess it isn't disappointing when your impression doesn't meet up with the reality of the person,
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Right.
BB Score said she studied that broadcast when she was studying sociology of media. Wow, what was that? Tell us what that was. She said she studied that program. Oh, yeah, we're finishing sorry, I have to say something to Elizabeth G. We just got the apartment in the garage spackled, so we're getting real close. We're gonna be able to pick out a color of paint soon. So yeah, we are. The garage, the garage is done, but the apartment is almost done. And you're adorable too, Elizabeth G. Thank you. So, yeah, it's interesting how our brains, how we are, what we expect. Johnny Carson is an interesting example, Mary Tackett, because he was very engaging on stage, but after he retired, he didn't want any part of show business. He didn't want to engage with anyone. He just wanted to go off into the sunset and be left alone. He was one of those people, and he just wanted to retire, and he had a right to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he really did. I'm glad you like the topic, Jenny Barnes. Good. I'm glad you're listening
you
while
see-
you do.
Did you see what Knitting Artisan said?
No.
That is my husband, Hawk. He is a psychopath. Been separated for almost 2 years. He changed like Jekyll and Hyde on day 4 of our marriage. His facade
Really?
was so convincing.
Wow. I had no
Mhm.
idea. You told me that before, but I didn't remember. I hope not. I don't think so, though. Wow.
That'd
Oh,
be
my
bad.
goodness.
That would be bad. You marry someone you
Oh,
think you're marrying. Boom, they're
Mhm.
different.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Wow. Did you end up staying in the marriage for like a while, or did you get out? I hope you got out. Wow.
Well, they've been in the
That-
process of getting a
I-
divorce.
that's- What?
And they've been in the process for getting a divorce for 2 years.
Oh, okay. Okay. Wow. Wow. We do go together, right? Thanks, Elizabeth G. Wow. Whew. My skin got like I got the chills. Oh, look at what Peggy. I'm not trying to change the subject because I feel so bad that you had to go through that. Really do.
Mm-hmm. What
Peggy
Peggy K
K.
wrote.
She wrote, when I was in grade school, we went on a field trip to a news station. When I met the meteorologist whom I watched on the news daily, I gasped and whispered to myself, he's real.
Mhm.
Cute.
That's cute.
Thank you, Glammies
Glamorous
girl.
girl. Thank
Or
you.
Glamous girl. I never know how to say it, but thank you. I lived 12 years of pure hell, said Knitting Artisan.
Wow.
See, forced because his finances are horrible. He doesn't want to pay alimony. He has a 3-point pint of vodka habit every night.
Wow. That would be hard to
Oh.
live with.
Oh, impossible. Impossible.
Mhm.
Wow.
Rosie says, I was catfished before the term was invented at least 2 times since then, plus at
Mhm.
least 2 times since then. Some people are plain disgusting. They prey on vulnerable people like me deliberately.
I agree with that. I agree
Mhm.
with that. Especially if you're a really good person and you see the good in people,
Yeah.
you're much more to that. I mean,
Yeah.
let's be real, right?
It happens on YouTube all the time.
Yep. I'm so sorry, Knitting Artisan, that you've gone through that. I mean, it's just awful.
Thank you, Vicky. That's so sweet.
Oh, thank you. Jenny Barnes said, my mother always said, we must ask ourselves if we like the person and what we like about them rather than, am I in love with them? That way we will love all their likable and admirable qualities. Am I in love with them? That way we will love all their likable and admirable qualities. Well, I always say mothers are always right, or at least
Mhm.
my mother, right? I always
Right.
said, yeah, they're very, very, they have so much wisdom,
Mhm.
Never meet the heroes because doing so is almost 97% guaranteed to disappoint you. Trust me, I speak from experience with the entertainment business side. Nichols says, wow. I kind of can get that.
Yeah.
Wow. My friend lived in a horrible marriage for 32 years. We were close, and I never knew because she didn't want to make him look bad. She wanted to be a good Christian wife, Peggy K wrote. My goodness. Thanks, Clarissa H. You're quite welcome.
Oh, thank you,
Wow.
Clarissa. That's so sweet.
Boy, like there's a lot going on with you, knitting artisan. My mother-in-law made false allegations to CPS on me. They now throw them in the trash when she calls. I don't get people. I just don't get it.
There's no need in doing stuff like that.
No, we
Mm-mm.
live in a idolizes these so-called stars. If I'm going to be starstruck by anyone, it's going to be someone I know is a great person, like my grandfather or dad was. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And on that note, the next thing that I bring up in my handout here, it says the related term is celebrity worship. More recently, the attention of researchers shifted to why people worship celebrities. A scale was developed that measures this in 2021 called the celebrity worship scale. I just threw that in there because it was the direction that the research was going in. This is a question. When does a person make the leap from that feeling that a public figure is an abstract figure in their life to one that is a meaningful part of their physical everyday life? Now, I meant that to being like any public figure. Where does that transition happen? You know, how does that happen? Where you start out with they're just a person, and then the leap happens where they become like just a really big part of your life, where they're integrated. I guess the answer would be they become integrated into your life, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where quote says they become you look forward to what they have to say, or they become part of your team, like that. So that's something, everybody try to throw something out, see if you have an answer to that question.
Mm-hmm.
There was, I just mentioned here that they started, researchers started going into like what makes audiences more likely to interact with the person that they're looking at. That became like the next thing that researchers looked into. I tried to give you guys an idea of how things were evolving in the research. And the parasocial interaction research scale was developed. And they said that what they really said was that the relationship, it wasn't just based on just the exposure that you have at the moment. These relationships are enduring well past just the exposure of the person. It's not a temporary effect. And they found that a lot of the research found that the emotions and behaviors of the viewer were enduring long term, long past just the exposure of just seeing that person or being exposed to that person. So the relationship would become over time just something more enduring and permanent. The longer a person would look at somebody. And I think that's like, say, like you got like in the old series, like MASH, right? The longer you watched it, the more you got attached to, like for me, I got attached to the characters over time. Just as the stories would evolve, the characters would evolve too. And I think the producers of shows like that would make the characters more interesting, and they would add depth to the characters so that you would become more interested in them. And I think that they became they would do like probably media research on the qualities that would make people more engaged with people that they were watching on television. I think there was tons of research on stuff like that. And I think that it really, how many times, like when a series would end, you'd get so upset and you felt like, oh, I'll never see them again. Never see the character. It was sort of like cold turkey. You'd be like, oh, well, then I'm never going to see them again, right?
Well, I named my son after a soap opera star.
You did too? Which soap opera star was it?
The Young and the Restless.
See that? It
Hmm.
was a good guy.
It was a good guy.
Yeah, see, I don't know. My mom named me after that horrible woman, Lisa. And As the World Turns, I still remember her face because I watched the story for, a
Hmm.
couple of years, soap operas. She was like the meanest character on there. Isn't that fun?
Hmm.
She was horrible. She was the villain, like that always messed up everybody's life.
Of
And she
course.
mom would be like, Lisa, I promise it wasn't the person. I had not heard the name that many times.
Hmm.
And I heard how I heard the name. She's like, no, I promise. I don't know. I'm a little suspicious of that. I don't know.
Yeah,
Not
I would
positive.
be too.
Yeah, I am.
Hmm.
It's they got rid of the dog that was biting. They told us the dog went to the farm. I don't know. I'm still
Yeah,
suspicious of that. Although they
yeah,
never admit they stick together on that one
yeah,
with the farm. They
yeah.
stick together like glue, like this. They won't break the
Hmm.
bond. Always about the farm.
You'll never
Always.
know.
I'll never know. Nope. Nope.
Mm-mm.
These researchers later on and more recently, they examined like real specific behaviors, like they called it body addressing and eye gazing. And they found that when people were really spending time orienting themselves toward people and giving firm eye contact and things of that nature, they would be more likely to trigger some of these behaviors that would be more conducive to parasocial interaction. And other researchers found out that long-term intimacy with media personalities was based on repeated exposure. And the more a person identified with the person, the more likely they would develop that relationship with them. And that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yep.
And then I read this little tiny article um, in this magazine online. I think it was written by a grad student and edited by it looked like this supervising psychologist, supervised them on it. But it was cute. It was interesting. And she said, you know, the pros of a parasocial relationship are that they can offer support and comfort to people and relieve loneliness. Like, say, people that can't leave the house, right? What?
Hmm.
Lisa was a character, Nichols? Really? She wasn't always mean? I don't know. You're just trying to make me feel better, I think. I don't know. But it can also relieve loneliness and stress. And I put in parentheses here or brackets, social anxiety. I added that because at the last minute, I found this really interesting abstract on a study that really tied together people with social anxiety and their risk for YouTube addiction. I'll talk about it in a few minutes. So I added that and I put their names next to it because they did this study. But you know what happened? I tried to get my hands on the PDF of the full study, but they didn't answer me on time of whether or not they would send it to me. So I just reported on the data from the abstract. So we have to take it with a little bit of a grain of salt because I wasn't able to really read the study, but it looked pretty good and pretty interesting. So I did add it to this later on. Anyhow, this person said that it can help a person learn new skills, which is true, right? And you can develop healthy habits from some of these relationships. And you can get some positive role models out of it. I mean, there are, and this is just a short list because you can get a lot more out of parasocial relationships when they're healthy than just short list. But it just gave me a little bit of food for thought and I throw it on there. So if anybody, I'm sure everybody can think of a lot of other, positives that you can get out of this, out of relationships like that. And we've all seen that and felt it. Look at how we are with each other, right?
Yeah.
So, and then the cons would be they can interfere with your daily life and other relationships. They can promote negative behaviors like impulsive buying, unhealthy eating habits, and that's true. Some of these groups, right? They'll foster anorexia. They'll tell people that certain things are like pathological behaviors are like just a lifestyle choice. There's some pretty, unhealthy things that go on YouTube, and if you relate to some of those people and those behaviors, it can really be detrimental to you. So there's some cons, some real cons to some of these relationships. And then I also at the end I added stalking and harassment, right? There could be a real danger to those kinds of behaviors that could emerge on either side of the relationship,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Depending on what kind of things can happen in those relationships, right?
Mhm.
So now I'm going to get into the narcissism part of this whole thing, right? Parasocial relationships and the narcissism of the creator. Okay, there are some in the media business that are narcissistic, right? There and that would fit into like that grandiose piece that by definition, divided equals zero. I know it's true. I never told you that. I guess I didn't. That I was named after a soap star. Well, now you know. Now you know. You didn't know that, and we're related. But sorry about that. I thought I told you. But anyway, what I did was I wanted to talk to you guys about this a little bit more in depth. What I did was I put those DSM-5 characteristics of narcissistic personality disorder, and I want you to think about these characteristics in reference to people that are creators, okay? And I want you to think about, how a creator could fit into some of these characteristics. An exaggerated sense of self, that grandiosity. Now, YouTube really can provide a forum for that. What do you guys think? Don't you think I have a point with that? What do you think, Nana Patty, with certain people?
Yeah.
I mean, very easily.
Mhm.
I think unless you have humility, I guess, right? Like, say you start a YouTube channel and all of a sudden you develop a following of a great deal of people, and you get a lot of compliments and things of that nature, and you don't have your ego in check, right? You have a susceptibility. You could really become one of those people that develops an inflated ego, right? And if you are a person who is a narcissist, that already, right? And then you're on that platform, then that could over exaggerate some of those qualities, right? And have a negative impact on not only that person, but the relationships that they develop as a creator, right? Now, what's the second one? Is focused on power, brilliance, beauty, or ideal love. As a creator, you have a lot of power because you know that you have the ability, as a person who's viewing you right off the bat, they could develop a parasocial relationship with you where there could be some sort of hero worship quality to the relationship without you even doing anything. So if that's not in check, if you have that tendency anyway, that could really grow into something that could become toxic over time. Not always. It probably doesn't happen most of the time, but it can happen, right?
And
feels that what?
It sure can.
Yeah. Now here's the next one. Feels that he or she is unique and should associate with other special or high status people or organizations. That could feed into that, right? Very easily. Very easily, because your audience, right, as a creator, you're looking at, say you've got all these people and they're all there just to see you, right? That automatically gives you a different status than the people that are listening or watching you. You already special status right off the bat. They're all there to watch you, right? And that feeling of being unique, I would think, right? So if you have that that tendency, that could lead that person into a nefarious direction, right? Seeks out excessive what?
It sure could.
Right. And it could also be that a person starts out this way and that's why they become a creator, because it will give them those things that they seek and they might not even be aware of it.
Right.
Seeks out the admiration of others, right? Possesses a sense of entitlement, unreasonable expectations of especially favorable treatment or automatic compliance with his or her expectations. I think that could happen, right? Because
Yes.
that's your channel. You
Mhm.
run it, but you want to. You make the rules, right? I mean,
Right.
I think, again, if that person starts out that way, it's very possible that that could be something that fits right into their schema very
Right.
easily. Interpersonal is interpersonally exploitative, taking advantage of others to achieve one's own ends. If you have that tendency, it would be very easy to take advantage of someone.
Mhm.
Lacks empathy, cannot or will not recognize or understand the feelings and needs of others. Now, I'm going to talk about this in a few minutes more, okay? Because I'm going to talk about the fact that a true narcissist can hide behind a veil of real empathy. They could fake empathy, leading people, and that's one way a person can get into a parasocial relationship that's not healthy and not know it. But we're going to talk about that more. Is often envious of others or believes others are envious of him. I'm not sure how that would fit in, but it could, because here's the thing. If you have that tendency, right? Hi, Ladybug Toes.
Hi, Ladybug Toes.
There's a natural tendency that, like, you're going to compare yourself to other creators, right? Creators. So it's going to be like, well, wait a minute. They have, 1,000 subs. I only have 800. Why do they have 1,000? You know what I mean? There's well, there's sort of like this, it's easy to compare yourself with others. So if you have a tendency to this, that automatically you could check anybody's channel you want and see how many subs they have, how many views they're getting. So it's actually probably not the healthiest place for a narcissist.
No.
Because you really think about it, it could like drive somebody crazy who's really very competitive, who has that competitive nature, right? Because they wouldn't be able to help it. Now, if you don't really have that nature, it's not going to matter to you. You're just doing it for another reason. You're doing it like for the enjoyment of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Want to meet,
or the reason I did it was to stay in touch with my friends.
Right. And you like it. You're not there thinking about it. You're not. I mean, some people don't even monetize. They don't care about the money.
Right.
Uh-oh, somebody's calling me. I don't know who's calling me. You're not going to believe this. I tried to get in touch with my doctor for 3 days, and he's calling me back now. You believe that?
You need to answer it.
I just can't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
It just always happens that way. Okay, I'll call him back tomorrow or Monday or something. I can't. He'll leave me a message. This is ridiculous. Okay. Oh, you're quite welcome. So anyway, it's interesting how almost everything here can really apply to a person who has that natural tendency anyway. And you can see how, it could make things worse for that person and probably the person who's watching, right? Because
Vicky
you wouldn't
says,
know.
Yeah. Vicky says,
A
would
thing.
you say it's in relation to the 7 deadly sins? Is it like similar to that?
Let me read what she says. Would you say it's in relation to the 7 deadly sins? Oh, gee.
Would you say it's in relation to the 7 deadly sins or like similar?
I don't. What does she mean by that? I don't know if I know. Isn't that always the way that goes, Nancy? I don't know. He calls
I'm
me on a
not quite
Friday night.
sure.
I'm not sure. Tell me what it means a little bit more. Okay. But okay, here's the last one. Displays arrogant behaviors or attitudes. Now, I don't know about that, because a person who wants to keep their channel going and draw audience members probably isn't going to be sitting around having an arrogant attitude. I think most people would know that that's not how you keep people coming in. They want to come to a happy place. But here's the other thing. there's people that have narcissism that have difficulty hiding their emotions.
I was going to say,
So-
I've seen that before.
Right. Because sometimes people can't, even people that don't have narcissism going on
Mhm.
have difficulty their behaviors sometimes. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, we have to be real, right?
Mhm.
So this is what I wanted to bring up. And I thought this was a very good example of this concept. And of course, you guys know I like Dr. Carter and his videos where he talks about narcissism. And what he talks about in this video is, and we're talking about the characteristics of the YouTube creator now, okay? What behaviors are at play in the creator now? We're not talking about the audience member or the viewer, okay? And what he talks about in this video, which I thought would be a good example for everyone. Uh-oh, I saw a spelling error. I don't like it. Is that he calls it dark empathy. And what he's saying here is that in the beginning of relationships, people with narcissism fake having empathy. And what they do is they fool you into believing that they really do have empathy. And empathy is that key that builds trust in a relationship. And when you think a person has, yes, and Dr. Ramani, yes, both of them are wonderful. That's what builds the trust in the relationship. And what he says is sometimes they'll use that dark empathy they'll do it to manipulate you. But what will happen is if they have that quality, and I believe he said it in this video, they'll use that empathy to make you feel comfortable enough to let you open up about yourself. And what happens is once they have information about you, they won't use it to, you'll think that you're sharing, you're sharing stuff about yourself and that you're building a bond. But what sometimes they'll do is they'll only use that information later on against you. So it's a double-pronged thing. You think you're building a relationship with that person because they're empathetic toward you, but it's really for another purpose. It's to gain trust, for you to gain trust in them, but also they use the information, the person's using that information, they're keeping it in their memory bank so that someday they can use it against you. So it's that dark empathy is sort of a hook. So I think that's probably the biggest thing that people look for when they're building any relationship is empathy and trust, right? So I felt like a really good like it pulls the biggest punch in a relationship. It holds up that's what really I think builds in a relationship the most. And I think that goes for any relationship. So that's why I recommended that video, because I think it really does say everything. And that's what I think a person uses if they are a narcissist, whether it's a parasocial relationship or not. And a person can show empathy on a public forum. And people will buy into that. You know what I'm saying? And it can be like a real trap in the relationship. Okay. And I also talk in the next paragraph, I said, an audience can have an affinity toward over-identifying the media figure,
Where are
right?
you busy? Come on.
What? Let me see what somebody wrote. I have a sister who is a narcissist. She is a little older than me. From the time I was little, I always had this sick feeling in my gut about her. She's not in my life now by choice. Wow, Denise. Wow. The 7 deadly sins are pride, covetousness, also known as avarice or greed, lust, anger, gluttony, envy, and sloth.
Laziness.
Does that mean like you're dragging your feet on everything? You don't do anything. You're like, what did you say?
Yeah.
Hannah? Oh,
Laziness.
laziness. Wow. Maybe it is. But so we were talking about over-identification with media figures could lead to over-empathizing and becoming too trusting. And this can be said of the media figure or the audience member who could each become a victim of each other, of the other. So it goes both ways, right? However, in the context of narcissism, what characteristics of the viewer make it more likely, makes it more likely that they will become engaged in an ongoing relationship with any media figure on any platform? In other words, we looked at some of the characteristics of the creator, right? But now let's look at the characteristics of the viewer. Okay, I tried to divide it up that way. All right, but I think that identification and over-identification with a person. See, I think over-identification, and Anna Patty, we talked about this one day. Do you remember that? Over-identification.
Refresh my memory.
Well, we talked about how when you over-identify with somebody that in a certain situation, it almost always leads to an impulsive decision or a decision that's not good.
Yeah.
Right? Remember the context of it? We talked about it when you over-identify with somebody. Because
I think so.
almost if you over-identify with somebody, it causes you to have an undoubtedly over-emotional reaction to it, where your judgment is more impaired than if you have ordinary, regular, just like I identify with that person. It kicks it up to a different notch. And when you become more emotional over something, your reasonable, rational mind is not as present. And that's where you might be more likely to make a not as wise of a decision and not see a negative quality in a person that you have a relationship with, and even a parasocial relationship. So do you see where I'm going with it? So that's why I wrote that sentence. Be very aware of when you over-identify with somebody. And the clue is when you feel very emotional about that.
Oh, yeah.
You might not make the best choice. If you just are identifying with somebody, it doesn't come along with that emotional baggage. It's not your red flag to yourself. But if you're over-identifying and you're getting that emotional reaction, it should be a clue that you might not make the best choice because your rational mind is not as present. Does that make sense? So that's why I put that there, because I thought maybe you could help somebody when they are in any relationship, whether it's a regular relationship that is reciprocal or present, or one that's, parasocial, that it could be a clue. Wait a minute, I need to step away because I'm over-identifying with that person. My emotions are I'm too overly emotionally invested right now. I'm not objective right now. Let me step away from the situation. It could sort of almost bring you back home to yourself, Yeah. So that's why I wanted to put that little paragraph there. Oh boy, my battery's going low. Hold on, guys. I didn't realize the battery was so low. So yeah, that's why I put that paragraph in there, and I wanted to actually talk about that a little bit. So, okay. Now, everybody's got that? That's just my opinion based on experience. Okay. All right. Examination. Okay, this is that study that I wish I could have gotten my hands on, but I didn't get permission from the authors today. Like, they didn't answer me. And I just found the study this morning, and I wrote to them, asked for it. For some reason, they didn't answer me. So, but I took down what was in the abstract itself, but I do like to usually read the study myself to make sure it's, it's I'm sure it's a well-written study and a well carried out empirical study, but, I don't like to just write usually results of just an abstract, but I wanted you guys to see what they wrote about, because it was really interesting. Okay. Examination of an abstract from a study that examined, I used examine and examination in the same sentence. I don't like it. An online survey of data from 932 people revealed the following. And I took this, all the things I wrote here are just taken verbatim from the abstract. I didn't write those, they're not paraphrased. This is exactly what they wrote in the abstract, okay? And what they're doing here, I'll tell you right off the bat at the beginning, they linked social anxiety to parasocial relationships and YouTube addiction. And this was the only study that I found like it. That's why I wanted it to report on it, because I think it's really important. And this is what they wrote of what their results showed, okay? Social anxiety and parasocial relationships with YouTubers were both predictors of YouTube addiction, right? So they're related to each other, right? And then not only that, they're predictors, right? Social anxiety was a predictor of parasocial relationships. So people that have social anxiety are more likely to engage in parasocial relationships, right? Social anxiety moderated the relation between parasocial relationships and YouTube addiction. You see how related they are?
Mm-hmm.
Which makes sense. If a person has social anxiety, meaning they have difficulty with face-to-face contact with people, right? They are going to be naturally drawn to a parasocial relationship where it's safer. You don't have to necessarily engage with that person directly. You can watch them. You could engage with them if you wanted to, but you can engage in a chat, but you don't have to. You sort of like taking it as far as you want to take it. You have much more control over it. You want to go on there, you can. You want to leave, you right? It's a much safer platform for people with social anxiety. Makes total sense, right? Parasocial relationships mediate the relation between social anxiety and YouTube addiction. And social anxiety also moderated this mediated effect. So all of these variables are related to each other, including YouTube addiction, which means that people with social anxiety disorder are not only more likely to engage in parasocial relationships, but they're more at risk to be addicted to YouTube. In other words, be more engaging on that platform, right? I don't think that's shocking, though. You know, it doesn't come as a shock, but this is the only study I found so far that talked about this stuff. But that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means that, I just didn't find them yet. And it might be because, like, I just, haven't, it doesn't mean they're not out there. It just means I probably didn't see them or something. But I thought this was just really interesting. I thought, why is this not still charging? Are you guys still there?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it shows that it's charging, but it still gave me a message that, it's like the low battery. I still found. So I found that was really, really an interesting study, and I plan to still read it. And then I put a little note that said I only based this on an abstract, so I didn't read the study. Why do people stay in narcissistic relationships? Again, this is Dr. Carter's video that I talk about. This is a great, great video. Okay. Why, if you're in, now let's assume that a person is in a relationship with a narcissist, right? And that's why I titled this The Long Game of Narcissism. All right. Whether you're in a parasocial relationship or a direct relationship with a person who has narcissism. And I wanted to add this to my last to my boot camp, but I didn't. I kind of saved this for this because it's related. And what he says is there's two elements to this concept, and I'm going to summarize it. The first one is that what the person will do, I'm not going to read it. I'm going to tell you about it. Person gets you into this relationship, right? Thanks, Jenny Barnes. You're in this relationship with a person. And what they do is they provide just enough praise to you on an intermittent basis that strings you along. So, but in between, they're just very discouraging to you. And they give you what Dr. Carter says is like a glimmer of hope. So they'll put you down, they'll reduce your self-esteem to very low by putting you down over the long term. But every once in a while, they'll throw out a compliment, or they'll give you a little bit of positive praise or something like that. And that'll energize you because you're so hungry for it, right? And then they'll go back to the same way they are. And you're sort of like caught in this sort of confusing life where you're getting this intermittent reinforcement that sort of just propels you every once in a while to keep you going and just strings you along and strings you along. But in between you have all this negativity all the time. But every once in a while they throw out a crumb. Here's your little crumb. Here's your little compliment. Here's your little piece of something that I'm going to throw you whenever I feel like it. I'm going to throw you a bone. So they do that on purpose, and it keeps you very confused, and it keeps your self-esteem very, very low, and it makes you feel very inadequate. And that's the long game. Okay. And I thought it was a perfect way to describe it, because that's exactly what happens. And you think to yourself, well, what did I do to get, and it could be unconscious too, but like, what did I do to get this praise? I'll do it again. But it doesn't work the next time. They keep you like guessing. You know what I'm saying? So the number one, it says intermittent reinforcement. The narcissist gives you mixed messages. He or she criticizes you, but every once in a while will praise you or support you to provide you with just enough positive reinforcement to give you a glimmer of hope that things will get better. This strings you along and keeps you confused. I hope I was clear enough with that. A slow and steady building of a trauma bond. That's what he calls it. As time goes by, your confidence in decision-making drops as you filter your responses through the narcissist. This is all what he says, okay? You want to be free, but a quiet voice in your head reminds you that it would probably not be a good idea. Instead, you seek a narcissist's approval. Feeling inadequate, you look for ways to please and appease the narcissist. The goal is to keep you working harder and harder for positive reinforcement or praise. So when you never know when it's going to come, you're sort of jumping through hoops to keep that person, like, when are they going to give it to me next, kind of thing, right? It's a game and you are the toy. Dr. Carter says, the narcissist has written that script for you. You get blamed for everything that goes wrong. There is a trauma bond. They keep you guessing and you feel you cannot get out. At the base, the core ingredients is dominance and control. The covert narcissist is not necessarily as loud, but they are just as toxic. And that can also, now, if you're in, let's say you're in a parasocial relationship, right? And, the person that you, Lisa, exactly, I call that throwing you a bone here and there. Yep, that's very, very true. Now, how many people can relate to that, right? How many people have been in a relationship like that? So what happens is you enter into, I think everybody can relate to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
They move the goalpost constantly. Exactly. It's almost like they've received training in it. They're so good at it.
Yeah.
Right? And I think it gives them power and control over you. And they know that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They know exactly what they're doing. And it's amazing. And that's what the trauma bond is. Right?
Right.
And that's the end of what I have here for all of us. But I wanted that to be at the end because I think that even a person who's doing this I'm on fire. Thank you, sweetheart. I think even a person who doing, who has their own YouTube channel could also follow through on some of these types of behaviors, because let's say you're involved with a creator and you're part of a whole group. That person could show attention to one follower over another and ignore you and show another person attention. Like say it's a person who tends to give that creator money, and they get more attention and more accolades and praise than you do because you don't. You might be, then the next time you might decide, well, you know what? I think I need to give, maybe if I give money, they'll make my name. I mean, you really have to think about it. That person has a lot of power over people, even in a chat. Right? And that's why I think this is such an important concept, because this could be applied not just in a face-to-face relationship, but think about how many ways this could be applied in a parasocial one. I think it can be very powerful. Right?
Right.
So that's why I wanted to really bring up the concept, because I think, we've all seen that possibility, So tell me what you guys think. Do you think that you can relate to any of this? And if you can, give me an example of what what you've gone through, and how you feel about this topic overall. Do you feel like you could relate to it? Do you feel that? And here's something else. Do you feel like I could have added anything else to this? Let me know what you think. Let's see.
Or if you have
I've learned from a long time ago that you must absolutely terminate any toxic relationship. You cannot have a toxic person in your life, period. You're welcome, Deb wins at life. I never can say that right. Thank you. I think it's true. I think it's really true. Toxic relationships, that I think they hurt your health.
I know they do.
I really do. And I think we've all experienced those kinds of relationships. And I think they really do.
Are we finished with the slideshow? Are we finished with that?
Yeah, the slideshow is done we can put it on Nana Patty's comments page, right? You put it in the comments, and I'll have the references from last week, because I didn't have that ready in time. And then I'm going to put up the sheet of all the other topics that I've done before. And we can do, if you want to do another one, we could do that. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I'm sure that everyone could relate to it. Oh, we lost Nana Patty.
We did?
Oh, where did you go? I didn't see your little face anymore.
I'm still here.
Oh, that's weird. I'm just looking at some of the comments. Oh, knitting artist thinks she could write a book. There's two of me. I don't even like one of me. So
there's two of you?
Yeah, I can only see. I can see me twice. Isn't that weird?
Oh, on here it looks like we're both side by side.
All right, so that's good. I'm just seeing what everybody's writing. I'm so glad that you found it educational. Thank you, Scout Inquirer.
Knitting Artisan says, so true. My health got wrecked in my marriage. Severe adrenal fatigue, losing weight. I had so much cortisol coursing through my body.
Wow, you poor thing. Yes, the gaslighting. Teresa Elvis said, I can't stand the gaslighting to get their way in any situation. It's amazing how manipulative some people could be. It's almost like, it sounds weird, but it's almost like the person takes a course in it. They're so good at manipulation.
Yeah.
Because I think it's because their motivation is always to get something for themselves. And that's all they think about. We don't think about only ourselves. So our mind isn't divided up that way. Our mind is divided up. It's divided up into, well, what's good for this one? What's good for that one? what am I doing for, like, you're just not just thinking about
I-
yourself. Basically,
I
that's all
think
these
about,
people.
I think about, like a creator needs something new.
Mhm.
Say, for instance, their refrigerator dies, and they start sad fishing because their refrigerator's dead and they don't have the money to get a new one
Mhm.
or fix this one that's broken. So they start manipulating, sad fishing,
Right.
about how much they need their refrigerator, and they start coming up with manipulation techniques to end up getting their audience to pay for that refrigerator.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
through super chats or private donations or whatever, then I think that's a good example
Mhm.
of what happens sometimes. And people
Yeah.
get taken in, and
Yes.
they love this person so much because they've gone through things with them before
Yes.
that they don't mind giving that person money.
Right.
And even to the extent of, if they don't use it to buy a new refrigerator, they don't care. They can
They
have
don't
that
even
money.
care.
Yeah, they can have that money to use it for whatever they want to use it for, because
Right.
they're so loved. They're so loved by their audience.
Right. Exactly.
So,
It's
yeah.
it's amazing, isn't it? How far it would
Hmm.
really go. It really, really is. Meanwhile, maybe if I had a channel and my refrigerator was broken, I might not even mention it. Or if I
Hmm.
did, it would be maybe in passing, like, hey, you guys, you know what? My fridge is broken, or, you know what I mean? I don't know. It wouldn't be like
Hmm.
a thing. It just, my mind
Hmm.
wouldn't go in that direction, you know?
Right.
But that person who has narcissism, their mind is so on themselves. They're
Hmm.
so, it's always going in that direction. They can't help it. That's where their mind goes. They can't, it's just,
Hmm.
and maybe also it's sort of that, you know, they've operated sort of on that level since childhood, and they don't really know any other way to be, because I don't think they evolve very much from childhood.
Yeah.
I think they
They
stay the
haven't
same.
really grown up.
Right. There's no evolution of the self. It
Hmm.
really isn't. Um, I think that's a big part of it.
Right.
Whereas we grow, we mature, you know, we grow into, we learn from mistakes. I mean, sometimes I look back on things and I say, wow, like a situation, and be like, wow, I wouldn't have handled that way
Hmm.
now. I just,
Hmm.
you evolve, and you're welcome, sour milk and cookies. You
Yeah.
you do grow with age comes wisdom, really, with most people. But for people that have narcissism, they stay the same. Essentially, they do
Hmm.
not grow in wisdom at all. They stay wherever they were when they were young. All those same defense mechanisms. Remember last week we went through all those defense mechanisms that they use. They use all of them.
So
Like
if you were young and you got everything given to you, you were entitled and spoiled, then that would continue on. If you were that type person, that
right,
behavior would continue on into
right.
adulthood, and
And
you'd
you would,
expect to
that's what I
be
was going to say.
spoiled.
You have the expectation of being treated the same. And more importantly, you wouldn't be able to cope if you weren't treated the same way. You wouldn't have the coping mechanisms. You wouldn't have the coping strategies, because you've never had to develop them.
Right.
Disappoint, somebody saying no, somebody not
Hmm.
fulfilling what you want or need instantly. I mean, it goes
Right.
on and on.
Right.
The level of lack of maturity that endures, really. And think about
Hmm.
it, children are very self-oriented. It almost feels like it's extreme child uh, being like an extreme, I don't know what word I'm thinking of, but it's like
Childish.
childishness. That's the word. I don't know why I
Hmm.
couldn't think. Yeah. But
Hmm.
but even worse, really. Because children do develop a conscience as they get older, but this person doesn't. And temper tantrums are like Gypsy 2112 said, the temper tantrums, that does explain that, because adults do have temper tantrums.
Mm-hmm.
Not
It's whether
pretty.
or not they do it in private or do it in where the whole world can see them having a temper tantrum.
Right, exactly.
And for
But
me, seeing a grown person having a temper tantrum
it's
is an
shocking.
immediate turnoff.
Oh, it's a
It's
red
like,
flag.
it's like, oh no, I'm not watching this.
Egocentricity, Sunflower Brown. Thank you. Egocentricity. Thank you.
Mhm.
That's the word I was thinking of. And childishness, but egocentricity, that's the characteristic of children when they're, when they're very young. They're egocentric. They think
Right,
about
Teresa, Elvis. And if they don't get their needs met, then you don't love them. They don't feel like that
right,
if you're not going to do it for me, then you don't love me.
right. Thanks, Carol Clark. I'm so glad. And I am reading comments here. It says, Pause said, I agree with what you said, but are there really that many people who don't see that they are being manipulated, even to their own detriment? I don't know. What do you think, Nana Patty? I think
Yes.
people do see it. I think
Yes.
there are people that don't see it. I think that people don't see it for a certain amount of time, but then usually there's an awakening.
Sometimes
Right?
it may take years for that to happen too,
Yep.
before you actually do see it. And you go,
Yeah.
oh, wait a minute. This is
Yep.
messed up.
Exactly. Thank you, Catherine Spencer Bowman. She gave us hearts.
Thank you. When you have
Pause
no
said
self,
that she said that this kind of relationship nearly destroyed her health. I believe that.
Jane May says, when you have no self-awareness, you don't know when you're crossing boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
So no, you don't. You just continue on the same patterns that you've
Mm-hmm.
always done. And then you find out that you may have made some people upset or angry at you
Mm-hmm.
because of
And
the way you acted.
yeah, but like a regular adult person, like say you hurt somebody, you make a mistake, you'd be like all over it. You'd be like, oh my gosh, what did I do? How could I make it better? You know what I
Florida
mean?
says, she says, I know a lady in her 30s that is everything you're talking about. And she was diagnosed as bipolar.
Oh, wow. Well, you know what they say, what we talked about last week is a lot of these people that have these characteristics, they overlap with these other personality disorders. But the boundaries, so to speak, overlap with each other. And it is difficult to distinguish one from the other when you're talking strictly about a diagnosis, because there's so many different traits that people can have. You know what I'm saying? You can have more than one too.
Yeah.
And some people really don't like the diagnostic criteria like that because it can be confusing, right?
Molly says, hi. I'm a puppy, but I'm well adjusted.
Oh, what a cute little puppy you are, Molly. I'm glad you guys, I'm glad that you guys enjoyed this so much. I enjoyed doing it with you guys so much. And I love the discussion, and I learned stuff from you guys too. And I like the way the topic came up, because if you guys didn't bring up the topic, I would have never really been able to research it and learn about it. I could have even added more to this. If I had another week, I would have had more stuff. It's hard for me to limit what I write when I do the research, it is, because I go down the rabbit hole, but I appreciate the suggestion. Thank you, Glamis Girl. I'm just looking back of comments I might have missed. Yeah. Sour Milk and Cookie said these people can definitely chip away at you. Yeah, they can. They really, it's wearing and it's exhausting. I think also because it's that little piece that they don't really respond to consequences so much.
Did you see what else our milk says? And I think even when you can see certain behaviors, these people come into your life when you're at a low point, and they
Mhm.
can spot that from a mile away.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I really believe that. I think that they can grab onto certain people. They see that they see it as an opportunity to gain that power and control. And I think that that's a talent that they have. They can be very perceptive that way. I really believe that.
Mm-hmm.
Kimberly Jerome said she spent 22 plus years with her NPD husband, and it took that long to be told in couples therapy that he was. I had a bad eating disorder. I was a horrible codependent and kept a smile on my face outside the home. Oh my goodness. That's a long time. That is very good. That is a very, very long time. I'm glad you liked it, pause. You're welcome, Elizabeth G. You're welcome, Lisa H. I feel so bad that you went through that. 22 years is a long time. Very long time. But I'm glad that you're out now, out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Some people stay a lifetime. I'm not saying, 22 years that's a long time. It's very, that's a long, long time. But some people stay a lifetime. They never leave. They never get out. Did you feel like when you got out, you were finally free and felt the weight of the world like was lifted off your shoulders? I would imagine I would feel that way. Like
I
you would
did.
take a gigantic deep breath. You did?
Yeah, I felt peaceful
Right,
whenever I finally got out of that
right,
relationship I was in.
right.
I had a peace that came over
I
me.
can identify with that too. Yeah. Like you could take a gigantic deep breath,
Mm-hmm.
definitely. A couple of people that I've talked to said that they felt peace when they were out of a relationship like that.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Debbie Johnson. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks, Jenny Barnes and
I had
Lori
to go
Colley.
I had to go no contact, but in such a healthy, loving relationship now. Good, Kimberly Jerome. You stayed for your kids. Yeah, see, and that's the thing that a person that's like that really gets, that when they know you're tied down because you have children, they know they've got you, They're very evil and destructive. They are twisted individuals. Yes. Yes. Hi, Aurora. Yes.
Hello,
To be
Aurora.
free. I didn't see you earlier. It's nice to see you. You got tips on moving on. You got tips on moving on from toxic negative relationships, Lisa D. Well, I will say this much: when you do leave one, I always say the best thing to do when you leave any relationship that's negative is to stay alone for a while and learn what makes you happy and learn who you are. Because when you get out of a relationship like that, you spend so much time trying to please and appease that person that you lose yourself. And when you get out, you must learn who you are and what makes you happy again. And before you can give to anyone else in any other relationship, you've got to learn who you are first. So I think that that's
Mm-hmm.
really, really, really important. You've got to heal and learn about what makes you happy. And I think if you get into a relationship too quickly, you don't give yourself a chance to do that. So I think this should be, I would say probably at least a year. You should give yourself to do that, because you lose yourself. You don't even know what you like. You don't know what you dislike. You don't know what you want, what you don't want. And I think you really need that. What do you think, Nana Patty? You think I think
Definitely.
that's the best advice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You need to learn, be more self-aware.
right.
And self-awareness is not something that happens overnight.
No, it doesn't. It's impossible. And if you were in that kind of a relationship, you can't know who you are anymore. You lose yourself.
You've got to fix yourself before you can go to
Mhm.
another relationship with anyone
Yep.
else.
Because I think you would be more likely to make a mistake and maybe possibly end up in another relationship that isn't healthy. And you know what else I think? If you did get into a relationship, I think you wouldn't necessarily give yourself the opportunity to work through some of the emotions. Because you might have somebody else there that fulfills some of the same needs. And I think you have to work through that. And I think being independent and taking care of yourself shows you that you can, because I think people that have narcissistic tendencies want you to believe that you need someone. So it's a good idea to be able to take care of yourself and prove to yourself that you can. And that builds confidence and builds self-esteem so that you become much more resilient over time. And then it's a good time for a real relationship. You go into it as a resilient person, knowing that you can take care of yourself and you don't need anyone. So when you the next one, you're not going in as a person who's saying, well, I need somebody. You've already proven to yourself that you don't. So you'll be a different person for the next relationship. So I think that's really important.
I think that's one of the things I identified with when I met my husband. And as we got to know each other, it was like we enjoyed each other, but we didn't need each other.
Yes.
To feel whole or to feel like my life is being fulfilled. We loved each other, but we didn't need each other.
Right.
And we're still that way after 30 years of marriage. We love each other, but we don't
Right.
need each other to be happy.
Right. There's a difference. There's a
This is our
difference.
new puppy. This is our new puppy.
Show off
Taz.
the baby. I can't see you, but show the baby off. Are you doing it now?
Yeah.
Yay. Let me see if I could see. Oh, now I can see. I just had to get rid of the chat for a second. Here's the baby boy.
Puppy.
Oh, look how little he is. He's so little.
He's about 4 pounds now.
He's gaining weight nice.
He's 3 months old.
All he does is kiss Nana Patty. It's the cutest thing.
That's all he
He's
does is kiss.
He's just so lovable. Hi, baby.
Say hi.
He's a doll.
He said hello. He looks right at you.
I know. He's so cute. Where's that boy? Where's that boy?
He's smart too.
Hi.
He climbs the stairs and he goes up and down the stairs.
Look at him.
Fortunately, he hasn't figured out the doggy door yet. We're not quite ready for him to do that yet.
Yeah.
He's so little.
He's such a happy little guy. How's Molly doing? Is she doing a little better still, or?
Yeah, she's doing pretty good with him.
Good. I knew she would.
Yep, Molly and Taz get along pretty good.
I'm glad.
Say
So
bye-bye. Say bye-bye, Taz.
Bye.
You ready to go play, huh? He's ready to get down and go play.
So I hope you guys really got something out of it. It seems like you did. His name is Taz.
Yeah, he came to us with the name Taz already. He was actually turned into the animal shelter because his owner was having brain surgery and couldn't take care of him. And so we ended up adopting him, and his name was already Taz, and that was the name of our cat that recently died, Taz. So we really feel like he was meant to be. He was meant to be with us.
That's obvious. I think he was definitely heaven sent.
I think so.
Yep.
Well, does anybody else have any questions or anything before we shut down for the night?
Kimberly.
Where's Piss Cat, Lisa D?
Haven't seen the piss cat in a while, but Nunu's still looking. You know what, guys? If I ever get a chance, like if I see the piss cat, I'll take a picture of him for you. But I haven't seen him in a while. But Nunu, he might even be looking for him right now because he just ate, and he always looks for the piss cat when right after he eats. It's so funny.
Is he sitting in the window looking?
You want me to go look?
Yeah.
All right, I'll go look, just for kicks, let's see. No, he's not there right now,
Oh, he's not there.
but I bet you he was there before.
Yeah.
Like, create, I bet he was. Because
Mhm.
always after he eats, he goes, but now he's probably cuddling up with Gary.
Friday, are you trying to say hello? Say hi. Say hi,
I
Fry
know
Fry.
Lisa, it's funny.
Say hi, Fry Fry.
Yes, I was referring to Dr. Carter. I did say piss cat. The
Mhm.
cat is called piss cat because he was peeing on my door. But he hasn't been here in a long time, but he used to come and pee on my door because my cats would sit by the door and he would see the cat sitting there and he would come and pee on the door. So we started calling him the piss cat. Oh, look at him. He's a good boy. He wants pets.
Yeah.
Does Lisa D have a holiness for guidance in life coaching? God knows we all need some. Oh, you're so cute. Thank you, Lisa D and Nana Patty. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
It's been a lot of fun. This is a great topic.
It was. I really liked it.
Yeah, Nana Patty will put up a list of other things I've done before, but mostly those are regarding children. If anybody's interested in those, or if you want to suggest another one, we're open to suggestions. But if you want to go back to some of the child related things, we could do that. It's up to you guys. This was a fun
think Lady Luck. Sorry.
Oh, Pink is here. I fed
Mhm.
12 squirrels this afternoon. They missed me. Aw. I bonded with them when I was taking care of my mom. Aw.
Mhm.
That's nice. Aw. I know. Piss cat.
Well, I guess you, Deb, on the move. You got here a little late.
Oh. Sorry about that. I hate when I miss some people. You could always watch it on the replay. Deb on the move.
Yeah.
I would love to dive into full psychopathy. I'm convinced that is what my stupid okay, my stupid BX is. Is that what you're saying? Is that what she's saying?
Where's that? Who's writing that?
Is Lisa D. I'm getting the mess, like her ex is. I did go into psychopathy last time a little bit. Thank you, Nana, Patty, and Lisa. You're welcome. Soon to be X. See, I didn't know the abbreviation. Soon to be X. Got it. Birth order is very interesting. There's a lot of studies on birth order. A lot of myths are out there too. That is true. Oh, pi divided equals 0. Birth order.
Oh.
Very interesting. There's a ton of research on birth order. Oh, you were showing the kids the house?
So they're wanting us to talk about psychopaths?
Yeah.
And sociopaths?
I went into that a little bit when I did the narcissism thing. You have some piss cats too, Snow Lion. Okay. Hi, Barb Olson. Yeah, watch the replay. I think you'll like it. Oh, Evie, Dr. Carter has a video scheduled for tomorrow. He's got so many videos, and they're all, you can relate to them. You can relate to them all. There's a lot of really good people out there that have, that do a great job on the topic of narcissism. Yeah. He just seems to come up with the topics that I'm delving into at the time. It's just funny.
Denise, see, I am too. She said she's the youngest of 5 and has always been the caretaker.
Oh, I
am
see
too.
that. Okay. See that?
I am too, Denise. I took care of my mom the last 5 years of her life. to help take care of both my sisters at the end of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm the caretaker too. And the youngest of 5.
You could go over personality types. Yeah. Snow Lion said, this is spine surgery number 5. I think I could probably perform my own surgery next time. Just give me a knife and a fork and a mirror.
Oh,
my
wow.
I had one spine. Well, I don't know. You consider neck surgery? I guess so. I've had 3, 1 lower and 2 neck surgeries. Hopefully that's it for me.
I've had 2, 1 upper and 1 lower. I have a 3-level fusion in my neck.
Mm-hmm. When did you have yours?
About a year and a half ago, I think.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that now. That wasn't that long ago. You probably
No.
had yours when I had my last one. I think I had mine in.
We had it close together.
They were very close together. I remember that now. Yeah. I never thought I was going to have to have it twice, though.
Well, I'm heading that direction.
Yeah, I believe it. Well, I hope you do okay and everything turns out well, Snow Lion. You know, it's funny, like the people that have a lot, you never hear them complain.
The people that have a lot.
You know, they have a lot going on and they've been through a lot health-wise, or they seem to be the people that complain the least. Right?
Right. And the ones who have it all
They
have
think they
great
have
health,
it. I know.
complain about itty bitty things.
Exactly. They think they have it bad, right?
Well, especially if they're a narcissist.
Yep. Oh, you've had 4 lower spines and 1 cervical. Okay. Well, I hope this is the last one. Okay.
Right, Yvette. I believe that too, Yvette.
Knitting Artisan said, my narcissist dad is now in a nursing home and mad that I don't cater to him and come visit, but he sees me as much as he ever did. Not sure why he wants to see me now.
Control.
Mm-hmm.
If he's a real narcissist, it's all about control. And he'll manipulate you to try to get you there more often.
Yes.
Yeah, Dr. Ramani's good.
I like her too. I've
Dr.
watched
Carter.
several of her. She's very good. Teresa Elvis said, yes, we don't complain. We are too busy listening. Yeah. What did Rosie say?
She says, oh, wow, I feel you. Had 4 spine surgeries in 1975. Plus, I've had 12 major hip surgeries. Unfortunately, the 12th one irreparably failed, predominantly crippled me, and a few more surgeries too. Wish you the best, Snow Line.
Oh my goodness.
I'm
sorry about that.
Thank you, lovies.
Oh, Lisa H., you're a doll. Bless everyone. Anyone that was or is a caretaker. I cared for my sweet mom and miss her so much. Our time together was precious. She was my best friend. Yes, Lisa.
Sweet.
No. Yes. We get that totally. Absolutely.
Well, I guess we'll go ahead
Yeah, I
and
guess
end
we
this.
could wrap it up now, but this is fun. Everybody, you know what? Having everyone here to talk to, not just about the topic, but just talking about stuff in general is so enjoyable. So thank you all for coming.
And I'm going to go ahead and say a prayer.
Yeah, please do that, Nana Patty.
Okay. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you with many needs today. please keep our friends in your arms of healing, for Carol Boyce, for Davita, for anyone who needs healing tonight. Please watch over our country, our world, help our leaders understand what needs to be done to bring our nations back to the greatness that they were once. Please be with each person here tonight and meet their needs. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Nana Patty. You always do the best job at prayers for us. You really
You're
do. Thank you,
welcome.
Peggy Kay, and thank you everyone for coming.
Yes, thank
Thank
you
you
all for
so
coming.
much.
And Sunday I'll be making a cake.
Oh,
I'll
you
try
make
to
it?
get, yeah,
Okay.
'cause I'm going to be making a chocolate sheet cake.
Ooh, that
And,
sounds good.
It'll be from scratch.
Okay.
I'll get the ingredients and everything put up on the community page. And we'll plan on
good.
doing that at 2:00 Sunday.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if Dandy's going to do any sales, but I'll find out. And I
Okay.
think she said last Sunday she was going to, but we'll see if that still works out for her with her life. She's busy. So that's the Sunday plan.
Sounds great.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I'm going to tell everybody bye, and you don't
All
have to
right.
leave yet, Lisa.
All right.